and Natural Disaster Management, Honorable Inia Seruiratu, we, the staff, students, parents, and well-wishers, have much awaited for this special day. Thank you, children. Kanya Pathshala at large. Today we are indeed grateful to be...
The head teacher, the manager and members of the school committee, teachers and school children, parents and guardians, ladies and gentlemen, and I also wish to acknowledge the senior government officials who are here, the Honorable Minister for Local Government, Housing and Environment, and of course Fiji's Minister for Infrastructure and Transport, the Honorable Praveen Kumar Bara, and of course the Honorable Chilila Kumar, who is also a former school teacher, and the Permanent Secretary for Education and the Commissioner Western, and his dedicated officials. Bulbinaka, a very good afternoon to you all, and namaste. Before I address you, let me convey the sincere apologies of the Honorable Prime Minister. Unfortunately, while we were in Brisbane last week, he had problems with his, as we speak, he is on a dental appointment because he had problems with his teeth. And unfortunately, he cannot be here with you this afternoon because he needs that urgent medical treatment so that he can continue with the rest of the program for the week, hopefully by Friday. So I convey to you his most sincere apology. And because of that, I will just read the statement because I'm here representing him. But I'm also delighted as Minister responsible for National Disaster Management. I'm delighted to be here today at the Arya Kanya Pathshala Primary School in Ba to officially open this new classroom building as part of our Cyclone Winston Rehabilitation Program, so that your students can put the trauma of the cyclone behind them and get back to the business of learning. Today is the third day of our tour of schools that we have successfully upgraded and rebuilt following the destruction caused by Tropical Cyclone Winston last year, the strongest cyclone to ever make landfall in our hemisphere. This afternoon I am opening this school block at Arya Kanya Pathshala Primary School, and I will do the same at the Ba Sanatan College later this afternoon. None of these school projects are not simple rebuilds. These schools have all been reconstructed to a far higher standard, worthy of the students who rely on them and more resilient to the severe effects of climate change. At this opening of Arya Kanya Pathshala Primary School represents an investment of over $1,344,000 by my government to bring it to a climate resilient level of construction. Ba also saw the full brunt of the destructive force of Cyclone Winston last year, and the students of Arya Kanya Pathshala, along with countless other young people throughout our islands, were on the front lines of the brutal winds and torrential rains that devastated vast stretches of Fiji. So I know I don't need to remind anyone here of the heartbreak and misery that the cyclone brought to our shores, because your community experienced that firsthand. In the wake of the cyclone, I was in the villages and communities all over Fiji, leading relief teams and assessing the extent of the damage and destruction. It was a trying time for the Fijian people as we mourned those we lost to the storm and began to pick up the pieces of communities that had been brought to their knees. I could still see that the resilience of the Fijian spirit was undiminished. I saw it in the smiles and optimism on the faces of affected Fijians, some of whom had lost everything. And I saw it in the actions of our countrymen who ran to the aid of those who needed it most and gave their time, energy, and resources to help their neighbors get back on their feet. That spirit of resilience inspired me then and continues to inspire me to this day, as it has been the driving force behind our massive effort to reclaim what we lost to Cyclone Winston. We knew it would take time to rebuild all the homes, schools, and other infrastructure that were washed away, because we knew we needed to get this right on the first go. We knew we had to build back better, because building to the same standard as before would spell disaster for Fiji when the next cyclone reached our shores. Because the experts have already warned us that storms like Winston are going to become more frequent and more severe due to the catastrophic effects of climate change. The reality is there is considerable work to be done to prepare ourselves for what is to come. 95% of the schools we are rebuilding from Cyclone Winston were built with no structurally approved plans, leaving our students vulnerable to climate-related catastrophe. We can't afford to rebuild to that standard, because to do so would stick us in a costly cycle of rebuilding year after year and put the lives of our students at risk. I'm not prepared to let that happen. My government isn't just rebuilding, we are building back better. Every school we construct is being built to code to withstand severe weather events. Yes, it has taken time, but yes, it is well worth it. Still, even though we know storms like Winston are only going to get worse, many do not share our vision for a more resilient Fiji. They only think short term and want us to rush this process along, but that would compromise the safety and security of ordinary Fijians. That is not responsible, and that is not true leadership. Our government isn't taking the easy road. We aren't hurrying to put up schools that will only stand for a year or for a single term in office. We are rebuilding a Fiji that will last. Schools that will stand for generations. Homes that can be depended on to keep our people sheltered, and infrastructure that can be relied upon in times of crisis. We are making steady and unrelenting progress towards that goal, and we have a clear game plan for building back Fiji better than it was. This financial year we have seen enormous resources poured into our rebuilding effort, and we've already completed the vast majority of groundwork to reconstruct many of our schools. Some of that work has been carried over into the upcoming financial year, where we've allocated another $170 million towards the reconstruction of schools alone. Our rebuild has also seen unprecedented collaboration with the private sector, including with the Fiji Institution of Engineers, who I'd like to personally thank you for carrying out the assessment work for our schools pro bono, and for assisting with our Adopt a School program. On behalf of a grateful nation, we nakapaglebu to the Fiji Institute of Engineers, and I would kindly ask all of us to put our hands together to acknowledge the great work and the assistance offered to the Fiji government by the Fiji Institute of Engineers without any cost. I'd also like to acknowledge our dedicated staff at the Construction and Implementation Unit in the Ministry of Economy, headed by Mr. Sam Mohammed, for bringing a new level of professionalism to government's construction work, in particular for our rebuild program. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Shah Mohammed is here as well, and I invite you all to also put our hands together to acknowledge the great work done by the Ministry of Economy under the Construction and Implementation Unit. We've also borrowed to complement our own allocations toward the rebuild. And I'd like to thank the World Bank and the ADB for partnering with us to help in our rebuilding effort. Any honest economist can tell you that our financial strategy to help our nation back to its feet is sound, because we are borrowing to build, to set up resilient infrastructure that drives economic activity and schools that prepare the next generation to succeed. We are investing in the potential of the Fijian people, and that is proven to grow our economy and set us for even greater prosperity. We are committed to quality construction and getting the best possible returns on every dollar we spend. And we understand that our investment today will protect Fijian taxpayers from the far higher costs of having to build in the future. In total, the construction and implementation unit has completed 20 schools that sustained major damage in the cyclone, with work underway on 148 others. And we've also, through the Ministry of Education, completed minor repair works on 143 schools, with 175 currently being completed. Progress is being made, real progress, not temporary fixes. And I'm very proud that as part of that effort, we've completed the construction of this new school building at the Arya, Kanya, Pathshala Primary School, making your school more resilient to severe weather and more capable of serving your students. Today, your community truly has something to celebrate, and this project marks a big step forward for our effort to build back better. And the completion of this new school block sends a strong message to your students that we care about their success and we are prepared to invest in their futures. Our work across Fiji is far from finished, and it will not stop until every affected Fijian, family and household, is able to have their own day of celebration and begin putting the memory of Winston's devastation behind them. My government will not rest until that day arrives. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, that is the statement from the Honorable Prime Minister, and on his behalf, again I say, thank you and dhanyabad.
School, yes, after that, audit of health. Yes, and Naka is here.
Goes which way?
You have to pull this one. You should pull this.
Okay. Oh, you changed it to...
Yes.